Good morning, friends. Today I am going to demonstrate you the inter-AS option C using the segment routing. So if we generally talk about the inter-AS options, so there will be two providers and they will have the common customer and they need the connectivity between these customers. So we have option A, option B and option C. So today here I am going to show you the option C using the segment routing. So challenge with this inter-AS is both provider will have their own SRPC in their network, and it's very challenging to share the topology with the common SRPC because you are exposing your complete network to the other providers. And if you remember in the earlier inter-AS option C, we used to either redistribute the two prefixes, one is for the RR and one is for the PE, into the other network, or either use the BGP level unicast. So to address this challenge in the segment routing, I don't want to use the SRPC because both providers don't want to share their network information with each other, and they don't want to get exposed to the whole world. So here I am using the BGP level unicast and I am going to send you that seed information inside the BGP. So here I have two AS. If you see the diagram, I have two AS configured. One is AS 100 and second one is AS 200. Loopback is the router's name. If you see the R5, it will be 5.5.5.5, and interface address is 200.1 xx.xx. Means if we consider the interface between these two devices, it will be 200.1.56.5 will be this side, .6 will be on this side. SRGB range on the AS200 is 200K and the SRGB range on this AS100 is 100K. So I have the VPN V4 relationship between these two RR and the BGP level unicast between the ASBRs. So this side of network is already pre-configured and I am going to demonstrate the configuration for this side of network. So for the AS100. But before going to that one, let's see how exactly the AS200 is look like. Show ISI segment routing label table. So you can see that I have configured the segment routing on this side and you can see that label information has been populated. Show MPLS forwarding. This label is for R5, this label is for R8, 2006 is for the POP because it's directly connected. Show BGP VPN VPO unicast summary. So I have the VPN VPO session with the RR which is R8 and I am not learning any routes because on the AS100 side there is nothing configured, only basic configuration is there, and once we complete that configuration we should see some routes populating here from the AS100 side. If we go to the RR, show BGP VPN V4 unicast summary, here from the R7 I am receiving two VPN V4 routes, that is 22 22 22 22, that belongs to CE2. And if you see the show BGP IPv4 label unicast summary. So I'm seeing that I'm receiving two routes from R7. Those are label unicast. That is for the R7 and R8. So I'm advertising those using the route policy. If we see one of them in detail, so this is directly connected, received label 3, and label index it is sending as a 7, directly connected for the BGP. But if we see that RR is connected via the R6 towards the R7, but if we see the BGP connection relationship between those, it is direct. If we check the R5, that is ESBR, so here all the information has been populated. And label unicast family is up with the RR, that is R8, and with the other side ASBR, that is R3. We are getting the routes from the R8, from the RR to R5, which is the ASBR. And if we check the status on the AS100 side, we don't have any segment routing configured here. Here on R3, this gigabit Ethernet 001 interface is showing MPLS S because of the eBGP label unicast family. And if we check with the R4, R4 is a route reflector for the AS100, and if we check the VPN v4, it's up with the R1, and from the R1 I am getting two routes. One is for the CE1, that is 11.11.11.11, and other is the interface IP address. If we see the label unicast family, from R3 I am receiving those route from the other provider. Those are R7 and R8. You can see that we are getting the label index 7, received label is 10.0.0.0.7. If we check at the router 1, that is P router, show BGP IPv4 label unicast summary. So we are getting two routes from the R4, those are label unicast routes. So based on this label index value, it has calculated the label, that is 100.100.0.0.7. So if you see the VPN v4 summary, it is up with the R4, but if we check the VPN v4 summary, so it will show that up with the R1, but it is down with the R8 because we are not able to reach to R8 so far. And if we check the connectivity, we don't have any connectivity. So let's configure the segment routing in the AS100 side. So first, segment routing global block. So here it's 100K and 149999. Let's configure same stuff on all the routers. R2, R3 and R4. Router ISIS 100, address family IP for unicast. I need to enable the segment routing, and for the interface loopback I need to assign the prefix-SID. Prefix-SID index, let's configure the index value 1. If you see the complete configuration, I have configured the under the segment routing router ISIS, address family IP for unicast, segment routing MPLS, and the prefix-SID index for the loopback 0, and then segment routing this global blocks. So if you commit it, show MPLS interface, yes, it's enabled. Show MPLS forwarding, so it will figure out the label value for the other. So this 7 and 8 are the remote prefixes. If you remember, those are R7 and R8. So router has calculated based on SRGB value. Generally, if you configure the different global block range from apart from 16,000, then you need to reboot the routers in the production. But this is, in this scenario, I am running it on the virtual, so no need to reboot it and it will work. Let's configure on the R2 side. Router ISIS 100, address family IP for unicast, segment routing MPLS, interface loopback 0, prefix-SID, index value, it's 2 for R2. That's it, and we should see that forwarding table is populating. Show MPLS forwarding, yes. Show ISIS segment routing label table, it's populated for its own for R2 and R1. Let's go to R3, address family IP for unicast, segment routing MPLS, interface loopback 0, address family IP for unicast, prefix-SID index, let's say 3 here for R3. We are done. Show MPLS interface, yes. Show MPLS forward table, yes. We have populated it for R1, R2 and those R7 and R8. Show segment routing, show ISI segment routing label table, yes. We are now able to see for R1 and R2 and R3. Let's go to the R4. Prefix-SID is index is 4 for R4. Let's commit it. Show MPLS interface. Yes, it's up. If we see the forwarding interest, we should see the labels. Yes, for R1, R2, R3, and these are belongs to R7 and R8. Show ISI segment routing label table. Yes, now we are able to see the SR label for all those prefixes, that is 1, 2, 3 and 4. Show route 111. Yes, it's labeled SR. So this is done from the segment routing perspective. So we are done with the segment routing configuration on the AS100, and if we ping the using SR MPLS, so we have the reachability, and if you check the Prefix-SID as well, all routers are learning the 4 prefix-SID, that is R1, R2, R3 and R4. So to have reachability between AS100 and 200, we need to redistribute the R1, which is our PE routers, and R4, which is acting as a route reflector, into the AS1 200. So generally we do it two ways. One, using the redistribution between BGP and IGP, or you can use the IBGP level unicast inside the AS and EBGP level unicast between the two AS. So here, using the IBGP level unicast, we will send these both prefixes towards each other along with the index value, so that router can calculate the segment routing label value for those particular prefixes. So let's configure the routing policy SID, and we need to pass that value set label index and that parameter. So if we see the policy wise, this is it, and then we need to call this route policy while advertising these prefixes. Router BGP 100, address IP4 unicast, allocate label all for the label unicast, and the network 111 route policy SID, and then we need to call that value. So here for R1 I am advertising the SID index value as 1, and for the R4 for the R4 I am going to advertise the index value as a 4. So I am passing this index value inside the route policy, and these BGP will advertise these prefixes using the BGP label unicast along with these index values. Now we need to commit it. So once we commit it, then we will have the connectivity between AS100 and 200. Based on that one, route reflectors will form the reachability between each other, and then we'll exchange the VP and V4 prefixes with each other. So let's see. So it is still active, so it may take time. Yeah, now BGP VPN address family is up with the R8, and same will be for the IPv4 label unicast. Yes, both are up. So if we check the status, so R4 received the 22, 22, 22, 22 from the R8, and he got the remote BGP label unicast prefixes as well. We saw that in earlier as well. So R1 should see the VPN v4 prefixes. Yes, we have received 2, that is 22, and then we should be able to have the reachability between CE1 and CE2. Yes, we trace route it. So this is 24002 is the VPN label received from R7 to R1. This 100007 is the segment routing label to reach to R7, and this 100003 is the segment routing label to reach within my AS, that is for R3. So once packet hit to R2, he will do the implicit null for the R3, and he will forward packet with the 2 labels. So R3 will do the swap with this label which he has received from the R5, that is 200007, and the same label will go into the AS200 side. So if we check the first, let's check the control plane. Show route, show BGP VPN for unicast summary. So I have relationship with the R8. So let's say that I am receiving the 11.11.11.11 from R8. So let's see what we are advertising them. So PE7 is advertising the CE2 loopback to the R8. And the label unicast is advertising the R7 and R8 loopback to the R8. So R8 will advertise the VPN v4 to the R4. It's advertising these both prefixes for the CE2 to the R4, and then IPv4 label unicast to the R5. So R8 is reflecting all those label unicast routes to R5, as well as he will reflect those to the R7. So if you go to the R5, so we have the label unicast neighborship with the R8 and with the ASBR. So let's see what we are advertising to the ASBR. So we are advertising the 7 and 8. Along with this label index value. So let's come to the R3. Show BGP IPO for label unicast summary. So if we see the neighbor, we are advertising it to the R4. Sorry. So we are advertising the R7 and R8 information to the route reflector. Let's check at the R4. So this is for VP and V4. So we got two routes from the R8, which is AS200 remote RR, and we will advertise it to the P router, that is 1.1.1. So we are advertising these two routes, the CE2 routes, to R1. So if we see that label value for that, and R1 will R1 will add R and R4 will advertise the label unicast route to R1. So he's advertising all this, he's reflecting all this route towards the R1. So if we see the R1, show BGP VPN V4 unicast, so we got CE2 routes on the R1 and we are advertising the CE1 route towards the R4. So if we check the prefix for the CE2, we are receiving the label 24002 from the R7, which we are populating while pushing the labels towards the R1, that is bottom label. And to reach that particular P router, that R7, we are pushing the label as the 100007. But if we see the show route, we are learning it from the R3. So we need one more label to reach to the R3. Hence we will push the 100003 on the top and we will forward the packet towards the R2. So R2 will receive this 1003 label and he is going to pop that for implicit null. So he is doing that simply pop. So we will see only two labels here and it will reach to R3. So with this 100007, R3 is going to swap with the 200007, the label which he has received from R5. Then R5 he is going to swap it with the same label and he will push the traffic towards the R7. R6 will receive it and he will do the penultimate hop popping for the R7 and he will push for a packet towards that R7. Once R7 received it, it will see the label value which is assigned for the VP and V4 prefix and he will push prefix towards the CE2. Thank you very much for watching this session. I hope you liked it and please subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon so that you can get the latest notification. And in case if you have any query related to this one, please feel free to comment below.